Hello and welcome to my podcast, Conversations with Cornelius, where I, Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan, discuss, chat and hypothesize on all things from fatherhood, marriage, comedy and everything else in between. From time to time, there will be special guests, but mostly it's going to be me and some regular contributors, including my main squeeze, Noelle Patricia O'Sullivan, aka the wife. So sit back, relax and enjoy Conversations with Cornelius. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and you're very welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Cornelius. I am your host, Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan, and I'm back. I am back. I am in the John Hume War Room. It is 8 minutes past 9 p.m. on Sunday, the 30th of October. And the curtains... so as I said, it's actually 9 minutes past 9 now. 9:09. Google it. What does it mean? And my curtains, my drapes are closed. So I do not know what the outside world holds. There's a kind of a chandelier hanging from my roof here, and there are 3 bulbs out of 5 alight, and I have some isochronic tones playing in the background to ease the anxiety that is slithering through my body. I don't know if any of you guys get anxious or any of you get anxiety, but I do. I get it from time to time. And it's a bastard. Anxiousness is a bastard. I treat it, of course, with cannabis, and I try to. I've been using other methods such as, consumption of water, deep breathing, saunas, and stuff like that. But it keeps it at bay, but it raises its ugly head still, and you have to deal with it. So yeah, cannabis. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start this week's podcast with a poem called Marvin and Me, and it's by a poet who my mother introduced me to when I was a young boy, and the poet's name is Pat Inglesby, and I'd like to dedicate this poem to my mother, who does not listen to this podcast. So it's called Marvin and Me. Many a night Marvin is asleep, curled up in the dark beside my pillow. I am full of joy that such a beautiful, independent creature is so happy to be. At times, one of his paws rests softly on my cheek. Other times, he seems to think of something in his sleep, and his bushy tail suddenly swooshes around my neck. When daylight comes, outside is where he loves to be. In the darkness, most times, he spends the night with me. That is, in my opinion, a beautiful poem, a simple poem, and I love it. And yeah, that's the start of this week's podcast. I hope, first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who has been listening to the podcast in 2022 and in 2021 when it was launched. I love you all, and I'm sincerely grateful to each and every one of your ocular cavities. If you are enjoying this podcast, please tell people about it. I need people to listen to this podcast, and if you enjoy it, spread the good word. Spread the word. A way of spreading the word so that I can share it with my followers and more of my followers will listen is if you tag me on Instagram. So if you've got an Instagram account and you like today's episode, for example, or an episode from the past, simply put it on your story and tag me, Cornelius the Comic, and then I can reshare that onto my story, and then people can go, people are actually listening to this podcast. maybe I'll give it a listen, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. That's the way it works. I think that's the way it works. But I am super delighted. I'm just going to go in and have a look at my analytics for for the year, because I am really, really chuffed with the listenership. Excuse me. I really am. I'm kind of half blown away by it, you know. Let's see if I can see the last 12 months. There's been 16,000 downloads in the last 12 months, guys. And the podcast is up 59.7% from this time last year. Comparison, they compare it from year to year. So 16,000 downloads, so it's up 59%, nearly 60%, which is fucking unbelievable, unbelievable. This year, in February this year, I had the highest amount of downloads for 1 month. I had 1,958 downloads. On average, you're looking at about maybe 1,350, 1,360. That's the kind of way it's going. But it's incredible. Most of the people who listen to the podcast reside in Ireland. There have been 12,100 downloads in Ireland, followed in second place by the United States of America, 1,400 downloads. The UK, 1,400 downloads. Then we're going to Canada, then we're going to Australia, and then we're going to Spain. You know? And then it gets fucking weird. Romania come into play. Like, Romania, there have been 59 downloads in Romania this year. Like, that's not a lot, but it is a lot for fucking Romania. Montenegro, if someone said to me, point out Montenegro on a map, I'd be like, do you know what? I won't, because I wouldn't be able to fucking find it. And there's more people listening to the podcast in Montenegro than there are in Portugal. But the Isle of Man is the Isle of Man. There's 30s. And to be honest, right, I actually think I know where all those downloads are coming from in the Isle of Man. So, yeah, I know there is one keen listener in the Isle of Man. I won't give away that person's name now, because they might want to maintain their identity or their anonymity. But shout out to the Isle of Man listeners, and your beautiful wife, and your small baby, and the baby that's on the way. See, I know who I'm talking about, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm just not sure if you want to shout out. Let me know and I'll shout you out next week. The United Arab Emirates, France, Netherlands, Germany, Bermuda, ladies and gentlemen. Bermuda. There have been 13 downloads in Bermuda this year. That's like, who's in fucking Bermuda? Like, again, another place that I wouldn't be able to find. The only thing I know about Bermuda is the famous Bermuda Triangle, where like planes kind of flew into and disappeared off the radar and were never seen again. I mean, that is a question that you have to ask yourself. People flew in to an area outside of Bermuda and were never seen again. And we're like, is the world a magic place, lads? Belgium, more in Bermuda than Belgium. But here, look, there's people in the Lebanon, right? The Leb, right? Maybe they're soldiers, peacekeepers out in the Lebanon. If you are, fucking fair play to you, lads. Do you know? Keeping the peace out in the Leb. God bless you. Italy, Kuwait, Hungary, Thailand. The Ukraine are at war, lads. They're at war with the fucking Russians. But there have been 9 downloads in the Ukraine in 2022. Insane. Mexico, New Zealand, Turkey, Brazil, Norway, Greece, India. 5 downloads in India. Now, I'll be honest, lads. There's 1 billion people living in India. That is pathetic. Come on, Indians, get your fucking fingers out your hole now and start listening to Conversations with Cornelius immediately, if not sooner. Although, that being said, you're surpassing the Danes. The Danes they're involved, but vaguely. As are the Croats, the Nigerians, and the Qatarians. Qatar, again, another place where I simply wouldn't be able to find. I'd give it a good fucking... Do you know the way Irish people kind of mock American people sometimes? You know, oh my God. Those guys don't even know how the fucking... They wouldn't even know what Paris is, do you know? But like, if you don't know something, you don't know something, you know? I don't know where Qatar is, so the 3 downloads that have happened out in Qatar, look, I respect you, but I would never be able to find you. But the one thing that you have in common, guitar, is you have like. I know that your human rights are like, you know, questionable to say the least, but you're on par with the Russians, who also have downloaded this podcast 3 times, and the Saudi Arabians. You're kind of in cahoots with each other, lads. Is that what you do? You meet up once every fucking quarter to see how you can, you know, rape and pillage the world, and you know, discriminate against homosexual and LGBT people, and like basically give women no rights at all. You meet up, that's the agenda. But what you do with the little chit chat at the water cooler is, come here, if you listen to the latest episode of Conversations with Cornelius, that episode about tits was absolutely fucking brilliant. The Costa Ricans listening in, the Japanese listening in, the South Africans listening in, the Swiss, the Indonesians, the Austrians. Lads, we're down now to 1 downloads, right? So this is how, like, okay, so Mozambique. There's been a download out in Mozambique. I'm flabbergasted. I'm humbled, almost as humbled as when I found out that Singapore, Sweden, Rwanda, Poland, Oman, the Dominican Republic, Lithuania, South Korea, Iceland, Israel, Gibraltar, Ecuador, and Slovakia all downloads in those countries this year. But here's the fucking thing, right? They all equate to just under 16,000 downloads, right? But there are 159 downloads this year of the podcast from unknown areas. That's fucking freaky. I mean, you're able to tell me all the other countries where these downloads came from, but you can't tell me where 159 downloads came from. It's a bit of the maybe it was inside in the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know. But yeah, that's the way it goes, guys. That's the way it goes. As I said, I'm in the John Hume War Room. It's Sunday night. I'm feeling decent enough physically. A little bit of anxiety rushing through me, but nothing that I can't handle. But feeling reasonably physically good. I have not had an alcoholic beverage in 4 weeks. And this is the first time that I have consciously decided to forsake alcohol for health reasons. Not that it was making me unhealthy, not that I am unhealthy, but I am coming into the busiest period of my year. I've got the improvised pantomime, I've got a lot of stand-up comedy shows, and it's coming up to Christmas, so it's just fucking mental chicken oriental, you know. And the beer midweek, I'd be having 2 or 3 pints midweek, and you know, it was making me sluggish and lethargic. So I'm off it, and I'm feeling fly, motherfucker. I'm feeling fly. But we are in November almost now. For those of you who are listening to this on Tuesday this week, that's the 1st of November. And so we're at the dawn of winter. We're right at the fucking... Winter is coming. We're at the peak of winter. And it is an interesting time for me. I love November. I find November a really reflective month. I usually try and do at least one magic mushroom trip in November, and I haven't even gone picking shrooms this year. My knee is, as you know, is a little bit tender, and yeah, but it's something that I hope to rectify in the next week or 2. I want to go out and find some magic mushrooms. Go out onto the wilds, hilly areas with on agricultural land that hasn't been touched by the beast of a machine or the hand of a man, on agriculturalized land. I'm chancing a lot of words tonight now, lads, right? Unagriculturalized is a difficult word. Not a difficult word. It's a difficult word to say. And to say it twice, 2 times in a row, guys, I'm giving myself a point for that. Unagriculturalized, you said? That's the type of land, anyway, that psilocybin magic Liberty Cap mushrooms grow in, and they're quite abundant in Ireland. They literally grow all over the country, and they spring up at this time of year, and of course they're completely illegal. And I don't know why, because I suppose like anything else, if in high doses, they can be dangerous. No different than drinking a full bottle of vodka or whiskey. Like alcohol in high doses can also be lethal. But they've got medicinal purposes or medicinal benefits. They've got mystical benefits, and for me, I love to take at least one trip at this time of year, November, kind of the calm before the storm, a reset, a spiritual, a mental, and actually a physical reset as well, because when you're in the depths, when you're into a proper, fairly decent shroom trip, a psilocybin adventure, a psych, if you're walking, if you're hiking and you take them, it's called psyching. You can have, like, for example, and this is so fucking far out there and so wacky, I'm not sure even people will believe it, right? But I did a magic mushroom trip in the Ballihora Mountains a few years ago, before the kids were born, and I was just there with myself, and I did a meditation beside a waterfall. And as I was I took them. I went halfway through the hike, and I felt nothing. I was like, "Oh, these are duds. These aren't working." And I know there's a waterfall at a certain area in the Ballyhoras, and I said, "I'll just go up there. I'll climb up there, and I'll just look at the waterfall." I just think waterfalls are just amazing. The sound, the power of the water, and it's like roaring noise but deafening silence at the same time. And anyway, I was up there and I had a meditation, and as I was coming down, I started coming up. And it was like, what happened to me that afternoon, something that actually has stayed with me to this day. Like, I felt that my body was 20 or even 30 years younger than it was. And I had an experience that I'm not actually going to go into now. It was a kind of a very spiritual, private experience. But something happened to me and I started running. Okay? For those of you who know me physically, I'm not a runner. I'm 5'7". I was about 15 stone at the time, which is about 190 pounds, heavy set. But I started running in earnest and at speed, and I hadn't trained or anything, and I was on a journey. I had to get to somewhere within the forest, but my body transformed, and it was like I was almost, as I was running, it was like I was able to come out of my body and see myself and see my form. And for that period of time, and by the way, I'm just going to say this before I go any further, don't take magic mushrooms. Okay, at all. That's just something that I do. Okay, that's my advice. Okay, for me they're brilliant. I'm not going to tell you to take them. In fact, I'm going to tell you not to take them, because I don't want anybody to take them. Only me. All right, and that's my disclosure. Because and if you do, don't say you took them because of me. Take them because of yourself. Do a bit of education. Learn about them. Speak to people who have done them, find out what are right. And also, when you're picking them, if you are picking them, make sure you go with an experienced person who knows what they're doing and knows what they look like. And make sure you, if you're having a trip, make sure you have a first trip with someone in a safe environment. That's what I would say. But ultimately, don't take them at all, because I want them for myself. All right. But anyway, getting back to the running scenario. This wasn't even going to be the podcast today. This has got nothing to do with today's podcast. I don't know how I fucking got onto this. Jesus Christ, the digression on this podcast from time to time. I'm just going to have a little smoke there. What I'm trying to say is, I was running in a way that I never ran before. Faster than I've never done before, and with the freedom in my body, as if I was an 11 or a 12-year-old boy. And I've had maybe 3 or 4 extremely spiritual, extremely deep, some upsetting, some thought-provoking, some euphoric, some sad, some tragic, some amazing, some eye-wateringly beautiful experiences, but always in a safe environment. And this is the time of year that I've done it, that I do it. So I'm going to try, and I obviously have to make, conditions have to be perfect now, you know, it's a different scenario now than before when I had kids. Now I need, I need someone, maybe if the kids will have to be away, like, do you know, that kind of way. I don't want to do them in the house if the children are around, that kind of way, you know. So I'll have to do a bit of planning and a bit of chatting with Noel, and if it happens, I'll let you know. I will let you know, guys, because do you know what? Fair play to you. You're listening from all over the globe, like. All over the globe, and I appreciate it. Trending topics with Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan. Hello, my name is Cornelius, and I'm about to spark a J. First up trending is Klopp. Now, for those of you who support football, and of those of you who know me, you know I'm a big Everton supporter. But I'm as big an Everton supporter as I am a Liverpool hater. I'm not a fan of Liverpool, and if you don't know why, you can go back to one of my early episodes. The episode is called The Underdog, and it details exactly why I dislike Liverpool supporters and why I will never support them. And it's the episode has been turned into a play that I've been threatening to turn it into a play for I don't know how long, but I actually have the play kind of half written, but I must get back to it. But this is all pandemic kind of carry on. Klopp is trending. The man is making more and more excuses as Liverpool's season just gets funnier and funnier. They lost to Leeds yesterday, 2-1. They were playing at home, and he's just a bad loser. And Liverpool fans think he's the Messiah, like, but he's like, you know what? Like, no, there is the old. I used to play poker for a living, right? And there was a genius poker player, like an absolute genius poker player, but he died young from like narcotic abuse and alcohol abuse. His name was Stu Unger, right? And he's worth a Google, actually. Stu Unger. He was incredible. He had like the insight into what you had in your hand. He could tell you the cards you had just by your betting patterns, just by the way you were holding, just by a hesitant move, an eye flick or whatever. And he was just a freak. But anyway, he had a saying about losers, right? He said, and he was a Jew from the Bronx in New York, right? And he was like, show me a fucking loser, show me a good loser, I show you a fucking loser. Brilliant. Like, show me a good loser, I show you a fucking loser. And Klopp is a bad loser, which in turn makes him a winner, if you know what I'm saying. Like, basically, a bad loser is generally a winner, and he's a bad loser, but generally he's a winner. But it's just great watching the wheels come off Liverpool and watching his fucking chompy teeth and German arrogance fucking kind of just go, it's not fair, it's not fair. Blaming fucking Man City for spending money, and he went away and spent fucking 85 million on a striker. You know, swings and roundabouts, Klopp. Do you know what I mean? If you don't like the job, fuck off. Hashtag Halloween. Halloween is trending, and I suppose it's trending, guys, because of it being Halloween. But I went to see the movie Halloween there a couple of weeks ago with two friends of mine in the cinema, right? Sinead and Chris. And do you know that fucking Halloween with Mike Myers, right? So if you are a fan of that, okay, and you haven't seen the movie, what you need to do now is you need to pause this podcast, right, and forward on for about a minute, because I'm about to give a big spoiler. I'm going to give you 2 seconds to do that. 1, 2. Mike Myers he's definitely gone now. He's definitely gone. She puts him into a fucking meat cleaver at the end, and you can just see his guts coming up. I mean, he's not coming back from that, like. He's not coming back from that. He's finally dead. And I can tell you this, right? If you haven't seen the movie, and if you're one of those people and you've just paused, all right, and they're coming back about now, okay, don't go to the fucking movie, because it's a pile of shit. It was the worst movie I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Definitely the worst horror I've ever seen in my life. It wasn't even horror, it was gory. Like something psychological is better in my opinion, you know. But anyway, Halloween, and that's what I like. I don't know what fucking is trending about it, but I'm just talking about it. Hashtag cannabis. Oh, beautiful. And it is trending today. Don't believe me? Go on to Twitter and see why it's trending. And why it's trending, right, is because cannabis is very close to being legalized in Germany. I mean, like, it is going to be legalized in Germany, and they're now going to legalize it recreationally in Germany, and they are coming up with a solution and a formula to roll out across the EU to all the countries in the EU as a kind of I suppose a step-by-step way of legalizing it. And they should, like the rest of Europe needs to follow suit, particularly Ireland here, you know, so I can get my ganj fucking legally, pay tax on it, use it to fucking ease my fucking anxiety like I do, use it to help with pain relief, use it to help with sleep, use it to help with just the day-to-day, you know, drudgery of life. A little spliff in the evening takes the air out of the tire, lads. For me anyway. And again, I'm going to say this now, same thing as the magic mushrooms. Don't do cannabis. Don't start. Alright? Because if you do, there'll be less for me. So stop. Alright? But Germany are, you know what? And Germany they're the country that you want to be doing it, because like if Jamaica were coming out going, yeah man, you know what, we're going to legalize it now. Yeah, everybody go to sleep. Do you know what I mean? You'd be like, fucking Jamaicans, boy, they're baked off their trolley. But the Germans fucking legalizing it. Yeah, we're going to put it into vending machines, we're going to tax it, there's going to be lots and lots of money, we're going to make economic gains, there's going to be percentages, hours are going to be going up, profits are going to be soaring. Very bad German accent, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the Germans are a respectable. Look, I'm sure there's plenty of respectable people in Jamaica, right? But Jamaicans are kind of like Irish. They're kind of looked at like kind of, those lads are kind of having a laugh, aren't they? They don't seem like they give a shit, but then when they do give a shit, they're unreal. Look how good they are at running, for example. Like, all the best sprinters in the world come from Jamaica, like. But like, it's only because the sprint only takes 10 seconds. We can take the rest of the day off. That's the pure Irish way as well, like, do you know what I mean? You know, fucking we'll do a small bit, and so then we'll have said we've done it, and you know, we take the rest of the day off. But it's looking like it's with the Germans coming on board, you know what I mean? 1 second there now, speaking of this. The Germans give it a credibility that the drug doesn't have. Well, it does have it really in the States. It's just Ireland. Ireland is so fucking backward, like, honest to God. Like, people have no problem going out and drinking 5 or 6 pints and be absolutely dying the next day. A shit dad, a grumpy partner, a fucking unmotivated human. And like, if you go back out, if you do that 2 or 3 times a week, people don't even bat an eyelid in Ireland if you do that 2 or 3 times a week. That's just it. He likes his few pints. God love him. Yeah, no, he's dead now. He hung himself off a tree there last Saturday night. But sure, look, fuck it, I don't know. He was out 2 or 3 times a week. He seemed like a normal fella. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the ganj is different. Like, the ganj opens the mind to possibilities, and it also closes the mind as well, and it also turns off the voices and fucking, do you know, I'm not saying that I have voices now, but you know, it turns off the shit that's going on in your day, you know. And like anything else, and I'm going to say this genuinely, like anything else, if it's fucking abused, then it's shit. Do you know what I mean? It's no good for you. Anything you abuse is no good for you, you know. You've got a good friend of mine years ago said about drugs, he goes, you got to use drugs, you can't let them use you. I don't even like using cannabis. I don't like even putting it in the term of a drug, because I do not think it's a drug. I think it is a herbal medicine. It grows from the ground. There's no chemical components on it whatsoever. It is like fucking cauliflower that grows out of the ground. Do you know what I mean? It grows, you pick it, you eat it. You can do that with ganj. You can do that with cauliflower. The cauliflower doesn't get you off your tits. Oh God. Like, laughing is a fucking thing that adults don't do enough of. Like, they don't do enough of laughing. And you definitely will laugh more if you, and don't, like, if you are ever trying it, right? If it becomes legal now, right? And when it becomes legal, there's going to be people who listen to this podcast who are I know there's 2 or 3 people who definitely try it. But it's all use your brain and just tiny bits. Just take a small bit, Just have a little talk, or, like, you know, don't go in and like have a fucking a full hash brownie or whatever. Like, you know, just introduce yourself into it slowly, and because it can be, once you know how to use it properly, it can be the most beautiful thing. It can be the most relaxing thing, you know, in the world. But it has to be, you have to learn how to use it properly. Anyway, this week, guys, wow, this week was fucking insane. So there was no Cocoa Club this week, right, because of the jazz festival. The Cork Jazz Festival was on. And I was thinking to myself about 2 weeks ago, I was like, that's great. Now I'm going to have a weekend off. And we're going to Kerry down for, the boys are off on their holidays, on their midterm break. So Noel has taken some time off, and we're taking a midterm. We're going to go to Kerry for 3 or 4 days. So I was thinking to myself, it's great. I'll have no cocoa now, and, you know, go down to Kerry, a bit of relax the cax and enjoy life for a while. But I got this call from a man down in Courtmacsherry. He owns a hotel down in Courtmacsherry, and he asked me, would I go down and do some comedy? Would I put on a comedy night for him down there? And I said, yeah. And we organised the fee. And he wanted a comedy club style thing, so I organised that. That was going to be for Saturday night. So I was like, okay, I have no gigs, but I've got something else set on for Saturday night. At least I'm not going to be doing absolutely nothing this week in terms of live work, right? So then I got an email from Lisa Richards on this Monday, right, saying that they had a dropout for one of their festival gigs, and would I be available on Thursday to do a gig in Gorey in County Wexford. And I was like, do you know what? Normally I do a gig in the Cocoa on Thursdays, but there's no Cocoa this week because of the jazz. Yeah, I am available. Yeah, I love to do it. So they booked me in for that. And then my friend, the Mine guy, who's on this podcast, was doing a show over in Doneraile. I got chatting to him about it, and I was like, come here, have you anyone opening up for you? And he said, no, I don't. And I said, is it your own show? And he was like, yeah. I said, would you mind if I just did like 5 or 10 minutes to open up for you? I just want to try some new material. And he was like, oh, brilliant, yeah, do it. So then all of a sudden, from having no gigs, I was out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they were all absolutely marvellous adventures altogether. Gorey was sensational, just like really, really good gig. Really happy with my performance. 3 hour drive down, 3 hour drive back. Got back at about 1:30 in the morning. So tired from the drive that I actually didn't even play FIFA. Yeah. The next gig was Doneraile the next night. This is the one where I was going to try new material. I get over to the gig anyway, and Donerail's just over the road here for me, about 10 kilometres. And as I go into the building, I see all these old people, these like really like kind of like people in their 70s and stuff like that. They're all sitting down. I'm like, fuck's sake, I can't, like, because my new stuff is all about weed and you know, sex and shit. So I was like, I can't really do fucking my new stuff to this crowd because I know it's not going to work. So I just kind of ended up doing my current touring set, and I bloody enjoyed it. And it turns out the whole audience weren't in their 70s. They were just the people that I saw, because I was in early, and of course old people like to get to places early, don't they? They like to get to places early, and they like to know where the toilet is. And that's fair enough, because do you know what? I'm going to be old, and already I like to be early. And today I needed to know where the toilet was when I was in Barkey at the county finals. But yeah, good gig. And then yesterday, Courtmacsherry, myself, Mike Morgan, and the only funny German, were on the bill, and we sauntered on down. And I'll tell you something for nothing, right? I had a pain in my fucking face from laughing on the way back. We just had such a laugh in the fucking car, just mimicking and mocking and fucking making up all shit and stories. And yeah, it's again like it's as fucking queer as it sounds, right? I want to be super successful, right? But I always want to enjoy the journey more. The journey is is where the fun is. It's how you got there. It's like anytime I'm doing gigs now, right, that are kind of good gigs, and there's a few people on the bill, and you've been gigging with, like I did a gig, I forgot about another gig I did actually. I did a gig on Wednesday night as well. I was out Wednesday night as well. I forgot about that. I was doing a fucking charity gig in fucking hell, from a week that was supposed to be quiet. I actually did 4 gigs. Jesus, yeah. I was doing a gig anyway, right, on Wednesday in the Heineken Brewery in Cork, okay? It was for Lad Bible. And there was a guy there that I used to do, that I did I've done loads of gigs with him, Tom the Bear O'Mahony. He's a comedian from Tipperary. And we both started off around the same time. And, Tom's very, very successful now, and we're going on about the past and all the gigs that we've done in the past, and what's this gig like, and that's gig like, and laughing at old stories of this fella and that fella, and and it's all the fucking stories of the past, and all the car journeys of the past, and all the gigs and the time shared when you're coming up doing your trade as a comic, going all over the country for fucking 10-minute spots for no money at all, dying on your arse in Ennis in front of 15 people, costing you fucking, going all over the countryside with a fucking a scrappy 10 minutes, unformed 10 minutes, just to get stage time, because you can't get stage time anywhere, but those road journeys, those battle scars, they're the things that fucking they're the stories that you like to reminisce with. Like even today now, I went to the county final, the football county finals, and the mine guy came with me. Let's have a little smoke off this tube. The mine guy came with me, and we got premium level tickets. We were sitting in Parky Queeve, the premium level. We went for a munch beforehand. We got some bagels, and then we got in early. We watched the intermediate match, or the senior A match, and then the Premier senior match final, both finals. St. Michael's won the first match, and Nemo Rangers won the second match, for those of you who care. And but we were just talking about all the gigs we had done, me and Pete had done, and all the journeys we'd been on, and all the adventures we'd shared, and just laughing, man. And I tell you, it's hard to have a fucking laugh. I'll tell you, if I can give you one bit of advice this week, right? The next person that you have a laugh with, the next encounter that you have a laugh with, that person, whoever it is, soak it in and try and replicate it as soon as possible, because we don't laugh enough as humans. Well, I'm not saying you don't. Maybe you do, but I don't. Yeah, so anyway, listen, love to all the players out there. A sincere amount of gratitude. Please take my gratitude. I appreciate every listen from every country, from every phone, from every computer, from any device. I genuinely appreciate it, and I love you all for doing it. And I don't even know most of you, and but I do have this real connection, because anytime I meet people, and as I said, like last week, a couple of people came to the Cocoa Club. Liam and Joni O'Connor came to the Cocoa Club, and the experience of meeting people who've listened to this and have, for whatever reason, enjoyed it, and there's like, you might like it because I talk about weed, you might like it because I have good guests on, you might like it because you've got no taste in podcasts, whatever your reason, right? It just fucking fills me with joy that people are listening to it. You know, that's what it does to me, and I appreciate it, and I thank you. And if you haven't already, please leave a review. Go over to Apple and leave a review, or give me a 5-star review on Spotify. You can do it on Spotify now as well. Just simple. Just go on Spotify, find a podcast, give me 5 stars. Bang, done. Good deed for the day. It brings the podcast to a wider audience, and it helps me get out of the ghetto, guys. I need to get out of the ghetto. Do you know what I mean? My ultimate aim, really, right, is to be able to... My ultimate aim, actually, would be to be in a situation where Noelle could leave her job. Because I know she'd love that. She loves her job, but I know she'd love to just be with the boys all the time. That's my aim. So, like, share and subscribe. Sign up to my Patreon if you like if you want extra episodes, or if you want early access to the content. Thank you for fucking listening. You're fucking cool. You're cool padcasters, and I love you. Alright. Stay in by the wall, everybody. Stay in by the wall.